Kings Academy. The Lions finished off a great year with the state title. After match point, Kings Academy celebrates after finishing off Plantation American Heritage, winning in straight sets. The Lions finish up the year 31-8.
I remember being nervous and shanking a couple balls and Coach pulling me and saying, "Get it together." And then he put me back in and I was like, okay, I'm fine, and we just started playing.
I know the semifinal game was more exciting than the final game was a much quicker game.
For the 93 championship, it was kind of surreal. Like, we couldn't really believe it. Yeah, we got to the next stage, and oh my goodness, we got it to the next stage. So that was really, really exciting.
The semifinal at state was really close. We actually barely won the semifinal. We came back in the third game. So that was a more intense match than the final. The final was actually an easier match, which was great because everyone got to play and we got to really just enjoy it, and we didn't have that tight game. We actually won, I think, fairly easily.
I think the feeling was that if we can get through the semifinal match, we're gonna win the championships, because Coach kept telling us, this is the hard one. If you can do this, we've got it. So once we won that semifinal match, which was a nail biter, and I think all of our parents turned gray that night, then once that was over, it was almost, we felt like we won that night, and then the championship game was much easier, actually.
I remember vividly, and I wish I could remember which year that was. I think it was 1993, and we were in trouble in it was either the semifinal or the final game, and I remember Angie Strickland going to each player on the court at the time and just getting in our faces and so fired up, like, we can do this, and she really, literally rallied the whole team at that moment, and we came from behind and we won that game, or we won the match, and that was like the turning point for me in my memory. Like, I remember she did it for us for that game and that match.
I remember Teresa serving the last serve. And then, I do remember everybody coming up and hugging, and we were all just really excited.
I remember the excitement in the air, and I remember all the screaming and the cheering, and just knowing that we had this and that our girls were finally doing it.
After we won, I just remember that it didn't seem real. I had some struggles with the shoulder surgeries, and so to all of a sudden win the state championships my senior year was amazing. It was just an amazing experience and opportunity, and couldn't believe it really came to fruition, so it was exciting.
When we started our 1994 season, I do kind of remember feeling like this is nothing new. We're going to dominate. This is what we're going to do. This is who we are now.
I feel like we came back our senior year and we had some confidence that we were going to do well, but we also still had to work for it, and we weren't going to take it for granted. And it was really, like I said, it was great to see some of those younger players step in and have their role in the championship as well.
And then I guess for 94, it was our senior year. It was kind of like, we did this, and if we don't do it this year, it's our senior year, it's going to be bad. So we got to find a way to actually get this done.
On and off the field, we all played club ball, and so we were really close. And I guess we kind of knew it was going to be our year.
This team that we were playing, I can't even remember Plantation. They were amazing, and but I don't know. I think we were all just very confident. It was just, we're going to win this game, and we did.
It just was incredible. Just seeing the joy on the girls' faces and the excitement that they had winning championship point, and just seeing all their hard work come to a culmination, and it was just incredible.
We always had a special cheer. We always had special things that we did. I remember Amy trying to get approval to get special music to play during warm-up, and not happening. And then finally it's like, okay, fine. Little things like that. But I remember at when we did win, it was just like that rush together and just amazing, like we did it.
I just remember beating Lake Worth Christian in the championship. And yes, we all went nuts and like hugged each other and, you know, jumped all over each other, and what you do when you win a state championship.
I remember running on the court and just being super excited, and on top of everything else, like Coach was just so thrilled, and he deserved that win too. So
it was a special team. We had each other's backs.
I was one of the younger ones on the team, so it was really neat for me to be a part of that, because it just gave me so much to aspire to, these girls, and just seeing not just their ability on the court, but just the way that they were so unified, and it was just a privilege to be a part of it at such a young age.
And I didn't realize how special that was until later, as you get to college and you start going around and you say, like, where's my crew? Where's my group? And it's not the same. So when my girls are, my kids are growing up now, I look for them to have something like that.
We were a very close-knit team. Two of the girls, Amy and Karen, on the team I'm still best friends with today, and we had our kids and our weddings, and we're here tonight. We're actually having a slumber party tonight to get together. So we have been close for decades now, and it's amazing.
It really was a tight-knit family, and I can really attest to that because I was so young. They did a great job of just including everyone and everything. One of my favorite things was going to my locker to see, because they used to decorate our lockers for us, and they would put little things on there for each match that we would have, especially as the matches got more and more important as we were progressing. I literally still have some of those little mementos just because they were so neat.
In the year leading up to the 1994 state championship, we still had a lot of girls coming back from the 1993 championship.
Being a senior on that team, I just remember thinking how awesome it would be to get to state again, much less win. And we did, and I really believe it was just a combination of so many things. It was such a God thing, and just such a great group of girls, and such a great coach. And he pretty much led us both times, to be able to do that. So
he definitely means a lot to me. He was my coach in many different sports since I was in 7th grade, and so it was a great way to end my senior year with him being our coach and winning the state championships.
He really worked as hard, but he made it fun when we played. So it was like a family on the court and practices and games, and he was just a great coach.
Oh my goodness, Coach got me through a lot. I would call him up and say, I need to get into practice early. Before I got there, he'd have the net set up. We would be practicing. My serve was horrendous, so it was constantly, let's practice. This is what you got to do. Do it again, do it again. I knew that I could, whatever I asked for, he would be able to be there, and just, not only was he supportive, he would push you to do your best.
He was very good at looking at me as a whole person. He saw that I had a family, he saw that I was a student, and most importantly, a child of God, and then the athletics came right along with that.
Coach Slade is just one of those people, not just to me and not just to the volleyball team. He was just one of those special teachers and coaches that somehow knew how to bring out the best in everyone. And you just always knew he was there to support you through championships or even through difficult things. He is probably, aside from my own parents, the most influential person or adult in my life that did influence me as a youth. He's just one of those special people that has always been an important part in my life. He even, every one of my babies I had, he came to the hospital to see my babies. So he's just a really special man, and it was was a really special team, and it was a real privilege to play for him.
It's funny that he refers to himself as our volleyball father, because he really was. And it was more than just a coach. He really stood behind his players. And I know for me, there was an incident that he was the only one that stuck up for me. And that just meant everything.
I gotta say, Coach Slade is one of those human beings that's right up there. I used to have an issue with maybe not doing my homework all the time, and I thought that was just my little secret. I did well on tests, so I could keep that hidden. And I remember he called me over in high school, and he asked me, he's like, I saw your grades. He's like, he's like, if volleyball is a problem and in the way of you getting your homework done, we can fix that. And I remember being completely shocked. How did he find out that I wasn't doing my homework? And in that moment, that changed everything, because I knew he cared, and because his priorities were in the right place, that made my priorities go into the right order. I owe him everything. He's been a role model in so many different ways.
Coach Slade is an amazing coach. I remember when he started, it was my, I believe, 8th grade year, and his first year here, and I was playing, and he stepped right in and got the team going and didn't stop. You know, he would work with us however much we wanted to work. He'd come in on Saturdays and stay after late if we wanted to work on setting or hitting or passing or anything. He was always available to help. And after I had shoulder surgeries, I ended up playing with my left arm instead of my right arm, and he would stay late in practice with me. He did whatever I wanted to do to get better and take the time and just work with each one of us, and he gave it his all for all those years. He's a great leader and a great coach.
There was so much going outside of the gym. There was so much excitement in where we were going and what we were doing. And though he talked about it, he was very focused on the everyday. He was very focused on the family atmosphere that he really believed in with the program, which really had a great effect. He was also very focused on making sure we had a good time. Practice was always fun. We worked hard.
When my family was going through a really hard time, I guess I became a little bit anorexic. I didn't even realize it, but I was becoming a little skin and bones. And one day he just pulled me out of my class and took me over to the field and wanted to chat. So I was like, okay, cool. Coach wants to talk about something exciting. But he really brought reality to me and let me know that I got to get it together and everything's going to be okay. And he encouraged me. And not only that, but he gave me a chance at playing sports, and it was my only sport I've ever played.
Coach Slade is an amazing man. I was a young 23-year-old. My parents brought me down from Michigan with a trailer, and Coach Slade met us at the school and said, I have a place lined up for you guys. And I was able to get housing. And then, of course, after we got me all settled, he said, well, your mom and dad and you are coming over for pizza with our family. So it was just an amazing thing, and it was incredible for my parents to know that I was going to have a foundation and like a strong Christian background and just a family that was going to take care of me while I was away from them.
Coach Slade was one of those very special people who, whether you played for him or you didn't play for him, he was like a family member to you. Like I said, I was young, and so I wasn't necessarily on the team. I was one of those players that was brought up, and so I just remember trying so hard to catch his eye in practice, make sure he saw that I was working really hard and wanted to learn the game. And he had a special way about him. He noticed that. Whether he was working with you or not, he knew everything that was going on in the gym.
You know, whenever we were on long road trips, like when we went up to camp in the summertime, he would have, different players sit with him in the front seat to keep him awake on the long drive and talk. And you could tell he just had that caring spirit, and he was a real good counselor. He was always an ear to bounce things off of, and he had kids of his own that were the same age as us. So he was a dad, and he was a good coach. And he had that strong personality, and, he could coach us and drive us when he needed to, but he could also be really gentle and fatherly when we needed that too.
I went on to play in college for a year. I went on to coach for 9 years. The girls that I coached went on to win the first state championship for our high school just a few years ago. And I would have never had the life that I've had if Coach didn't take a chance on that really awkward tall person in 7th grade.
I remember being, I think in 8th grade, and just starting out, and him just being so encouraging but so tough at the same time. He really set the bar high for what he expected of us, and he really encouraged me to be more than I ever thought I could be as a player, and I tried to live up to that.
And the positive role model, the positive encouragement, the positive correction.
As a teacher, when I came back to King's Academy as a teacher and as a coach, it's a very daunting project to try and take over and to run a program. And when you have such a great example like Coach Slade, I know that when I was coaching the varsity team, I spent many times just talking to him on the phone, calling him and asking him, for his ideas. What did he do? And he always brought me back to the fact, he said, Ashley, the biggest thing that we did was we had fun. And when you have fun, you play better. It's just neat how his legacy lives on, whether he's here or not. But he even still came to all the matches. He knows my daughter, and he came to cheer on my daughter, which was really special.
In my years of coaching, I have seen coaches that their priorities are all in the wrong order, and I never knew what that looked like until I started coaching. And then I really realized how valuable Coach Slade was in my experience in shaping me.
I coached too. Some of us have done this all over the place, but I coached also because I taught for a few years, and I remember coaching, and I would be like, Coach, I got some questions for you. Always calling him up and like, I don't know what to do with this. Carla, that one's just like you. This is what you need to do. Always with such wonderful advice. And I know even if when I call him today, he's like, Lupe. So he's special.
And then now that I've been a coach for over 20 years, I still call him and talk to him about coaching, because he's my mentor and my hero.
If I'm even one day, on my best day, half as good and a role model as he was on his worst day, I consider that a huge accomplishment in my life. He's changed a lot of lives just by being himself, being amazing.